Hello, people of the interwebs. Today we're going to talk about some new releases in the HO market, particularly those by Scaletrains. Recently, a couple days ago, actually, they just announced that they're going to be doing some Tier 3 Gevos. Wasn't quite what I was expecting. I thought maybe they were going to release the 4-axle project that they've been talking about for a little bit. Or if it was going to be a GE, I was really hoping that it was going to be an AC4400, particularly the NS variant of those, the AC44 6M, so that we could finally get some proper models of those. They did say that those are on the roadmap, but instead they came out with the Tier 3 Gevo. Initially, a lot of people's reactions like, oh no, not another Gevo. But this actually does make sense, and hear me out for a second here. Previously, in the Tier 3 market, once upon a time, there was a company that was kind of affiliated with a brass company. The name's escaping me at the moment, but they released the first batch of early Gevos. Trying to remember the name of the company, but they're related to Overland, and there was a lot of early Gevos that they had. Athearn acquired that tooling to do the early Gevos as well, and a lot of their early Gevos did not have LED. The most recent release of those does have LED, but the very, very first ones, and up until about a year ago, did not have LED. Really was not that great of a model. I had one, I sold it the next day. I did not like it. And Intermountain came out with the Gevos as well. And I would say that, they probably had the best Gevo on the market. And it was a great seller. There were a lot of problems with them initially. I bought probably 10 of them, and all but 1 or 2 of them came in damaged in some way. Just super fragile, not packaged very well, not very well thought out. And to top it off, they did not have the best pulling power either. But eventually they did fix all that, and actually in their very last run, they were very, very good. But that was the last run they did, and it was about 3 years ago. And I understand that they were affected by the factory closing, as many other companies were, like Atlas. I think even MTH had some of their stuff produced in that factory as well. But to date, I don't know that Atlas or Intermountain's really produced any HO locomotives for probably the last 2 years at least. And the Intermountain just before that factory closing did put out some Tier 4s, and they were really good. But they only did 1 run of them because the Scaletrains came out about a month later, and everybody just kind of jumped on that bandwagon, and I guess they're afraid to come out with another run of them. I guess they're afraid to compete. But they had a real hold on the Gevo market. MTH came along, and their Gevos did have some superior aspects to them, to the Intermountain. Maybe not quite as finely detailed, but a solid model nonetheless. The MTH Gevo and the Dash 9 are among my favorites. A lot of people don't like them, but the trick is you got to get the DCC ready ones. Don't buy the Protosound 3 versions. If you get the DCC ready ones and put ESU in there, you're good. I mean, it's a really good model. But MTH just recently announced that they're kind of departing from the HO market, and they haven't produced any Gevos in a while either. So there really was a gap in the market for some high-quality Gevos. And Walthers, I mean, they kind of come with half the detail missing. Also Bachmann, BLI, not very good. The BLI in particular, I had one of those and did not care for it at all. I'll just kind of leave it at that. I could say far more negative things about it, but I actually kind of preferred the Bachmann over the BLI. But with that being said, let's take a look at what Scaletrains has released and why I will not be getting one right away. So in the announcement, the big 3 that they were going over were these CSX ones here, the new special schemes. I mean, for CSX fans, that's kind of cool. I kind of like this one the best as far as the paint scheme itself. I think it looks pretty cool. I don't care for CSX as a railroad. I was not impressed by their special schemes, so these 3 are really of no interest to me. For others, obviously other people are going to have different tastes. What is interesting is that MTH in their 20 through 2021 catalog actually announced that they are doing these two. The police one didn't, I guess, make the cut in time for them to have it in their catalog, but I kind of wonder if they're even going to come out with these now, because nobody else seems to be having the guts to come out with the same thing that Scaletrains does. So these are some of the other schemes that they're coming out with. BNSF, I already have 2 BNSF Gevos, so I don't really have a need for another one. Canadian National, I would kind of like to get a SD70 of some sort for them. CSX, as I said, I don't care for them as a railroad. I would probably much rather have a Tier 4. I do have 2 of the AC 6000s from Broadway and CSX, so that's kind of my CSX locos that I have there. Kansas City Southern, again, I would probably prefer to have that scheme in a GE, maybe an SD70 as well. And NS Basic Black, there's a lot of other options that you have here. You can find the Intermountains out there. You can find the new Athearn Genesis early Es44 ACs now have PTC on them. They have LED lighting. Pretty much everything that this is going to have. And I already have, actually I don't have one anymore. At one time I did have an MTH all in black Gevo. So can't really say that there's any paint schemes here that I really want. If there was a UP in here, I would probably scoop one of those up, maybe 2 of them. I'm kind of waiting for the next run of these. In the past, I've found that it is best not to do the first run of a locomotive, just because there are sometimes some issues that comes up, and typically they'll find those issues, and Scaletrains has been very good about fixing whatever issues that they do have on a particular run, and usually the second and third run is a lot better. So since there's nothing here that I really want, it's best that I probably pass this up for now and hope that in the second run there's some things out there that I do want. And part of the reason that I'm trying to conserve a little bit of cash here is because there is some other releases that I am committed to. One of those being in the new MTH catalog, they announced they're going to do the Yellowstones again. I am getting one this time. I am not going to let it slip through my fingers again. So I do have one of these on pre-order. And these are also going to have whistle steam now, which the only run to date did not have that. So that's a nice little feature they're throwing in there. And it is kind of MTH's swan song. So, I mean, they have just this 2020 through 2021 catalog, and then they're pretty much done. And then also, I don't know why nobody's talking about this, but this was just announced the other day. Actually, I think it might have been the day after the Scaletrains announcement. Athearn is going to be redoing the Centennial, the DD40Xs. Just a cool, humongous, awesome locomotive. I had a number of the Bachmans over the years, and it's just an absolute monster. It's cool in the fact that, for people, they're just like, I want the biggest, largest diesel ever made, most powerful one. This is it, by far. What is cool about this release is, of course, it's going to have LED in there. The other cool thing, and you can go over some of the upgrades here. It's going to have Tsunami 2, which they did not have on their earlier runs. LEDs, of course. A little bit better detailing. Astronomical price. So they are coming out with an updated version of 6936. The significance of that is this is the one that actually still is capable of running. So it has the yellow sill stripe on here, which they've done 6936 before, but it was not updated to the way it looks present day. And it's also going to have ditch lights too. So that's going to be pretty cool. That's the one that I want. That's the one that I've wanted them to do for a really long time. They're finally doing it now. I'm getting it. So, because I'm doing these two, that's going to be a pretty significant amount of cost. Probably about the same as doing 3 or 4 of these. So, I would kind of much rather have my money on these two here rather than the Gevos, at least for now. Now, some things that I think are kind of pointing towards the future is I do think that they are going to come out with the Norfolk Southern Heritage schemes. And when that happens, I will probably try to get the remaining ones that I don't have in Scaletrains, just because the MTH ones, I search every day, but not having a whole lot of luck finding them. So that's about it for this one, but just to let you know about some of those upcoming releases there and what I'll be having coming in here to the channel. There's an outside possibility that maybe I'll go with a KCS or an NS just to get one and check it out, but at this point, I'm kind of trying to save my money for some other projects that are coming up.